This is the Chapter 6 Summative Assessment Review for problems 5 through 8. For problem 5, we have the equation for line A is y equals negative 16x plus 3. You can see that it has a negative slope because it's sloping towards the negative x's. And from the y-intercept, positive 3, on the y-axis, it's where the line intersects with the y-axis. We go down negative 1 and positive 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The equation for line B, we have the y-intercept at negative 1, and the slope is rise over run. So we rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. So we have a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of negative 1. So the equation for line B is y equals 1/2 x minus 1. The solution to a system of equations is where the two lines intersect, where these two lines cross. And they meet or cross at 6 on the x and positive 2 on the y, so the solution is 6, 2. For problem 6, given the following sequence, is the sequence geometric or arithmetic? It's geometric because we're multiplying from one term to the next by a positive 2. Negative 2 multiplied by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 multiplied by 2 is negative 8. So we have the common multiplier is multiply by 2. The next part is we need to find the 0th term, and we can do that by working backwards and doing the inverse of multiplication, which is division. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So the 0th term is negative 1. Remember, when you're given a sequence, the first term that you're given is term number 1. You have to find the 0th term. For part D, we need to find the value of the 8th term. And we can do that by using this formula, T of n equals AB to the nth power. And the A represents the 0th term, B represents the multiplier, and n represents the nth term, or the term number that you are finding the value of. And so we have our 0th term is negative 1. Our multiplier is positive 2 raised to the 8th power for the 8th term. And so now we need to follow our order of operations, and we need to do our exponents first, GEMDAS. 2 to the 8th power equals 256, multiplied by negative 1 equals negative 256. Problem number 7, we need to write an equation that is parallel to y equals 4/3 x minus 6. So here is that equation right here. The y-intercept is at negative 6, and the slope is 4, rise 4, run 3. Rise 4, run 3. An equation that's parallel means that the slope or rate of change is going to be the same. So the slope doesn't change. What changes is the y-intercept, where it crosses or intersects the y-axis. So again, the slope's going to be the same, rise 4, run 3. And so we have this equation here. We have 4/3 and 4/3 here, and the y-intercept is negative 6. And we were trying to find an equation that's parallel to this equation, but went through points 3, 6. So here's 3 on the x, 6 on the y, and the slope again was rise 4, run 3, or you can do negative 4, negative 3, negative 4, negative 3. So you can do it by graphing it. The other way of finding it is by using, we know that the slope is going to be the same, and so because they're parallel, they have the same slope, and we need to find the b for that equation, and we know it runs through 3, 6. X is 3, y is 6. So I'm going to plug into y, positive 6, and for x, a positive 3, and then we can find the b, or the y-intercept, for this equation. And so now we have 4/3 multiplied by 3. These cross cancel. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 multiplied by 4 is 4. And then inverse property of addition is subtraction. So we subtract 4 from both sides, created a 0 pair. 6 minus 4 is 2. So we get b equals 2. And that's what we got here. So for the equation that's parallel to this is 4/3 x plus 2. And so you can get it by plugging in the x and y, the given point, into the equation, or you can graph it and plot that given point and know that it has the same slope. Since it has the same slope, you can do -4, -3, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, or you can rise 4, run 3. Problem 8, we need to write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals -1/7 x plus 1. And so lines that are perpendicular to one another have slopes that are the opposite of the reciprocal of each other. So they have the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite of a negative is a positive. And you take the reciprocal of 1/7 and you flip them over, and you would get 7/1. So we know that it's going to be a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. And here is the equation that we want to find, an equation perpendicular to this. And so we're going to take the opposite reciprocal, and again, opposite of a negative is a positive, and the reciprocal of 1/7 is 7/1. And we don't know the b value for the line that's perpendicular to this. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite it. Instead of 7/1, I'm just going to write y equals 7x plus b. And we can use the given point because it was stating that the line that's perpendicular has the point -1, 10. So just like the previous problem, we can plug in for x and y because we have those values. And so y equals 10, so I plug in 10 for y, and x equals -1, so -1 for x. Now we're going to go ahead and simplify this. 7 multiplied by -1 equals -7. Inverse property of subtraction is addition, so we add 7 to both sides, it created a 0 pair. And 17 equals b, or b equals 17. And so we found the b for this equation, so we could plug in the value of b for that, and we get y equals 7x plus 17.